And hey, I would like to read you some write-ins that I wrote, um, some thoughts. So this is the way of the one. Um, there is only one God. You say that He exists, but you cannot prove that. Like you can't prove that you exist. I mean, there's some things that are like, I think therefore I am, and some other inductive and deductive ways to like to kind of be like, oh, I exist, like I must exist. But the thing is like you inevitably die. This is an inevitable event in this material realm. It's the way that the realm is constructed. It's the laws of physics. Um, it's like what Hawking's uh, photon, proton, whatever, Hawking radiation. Um, Temporary things are not real because you are an infinitesimally small creature lasting for an infinitesimally small period of time in an infinitely long universe in an infinitely large universe. Like whoever you are nothing, right? Um, you don't exist. Which is why, obviously, you should offer your devotion to the Lord. He's the only real thing. God is the only real thing. We are just all cartoon characters to him. And a friend of mine, he said on Facebook, if God is omnibenevolent, then why is there evil? To which I say, your definition of God is wrong. I see no evil. Um, See, without um, a permanent structure in place, a permanent rock, uh, how can you say something is evil? Or if that evil exists, how can you say that it exists? I mean, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, but like, I mean, if I was God and, you know, there was some atrocity happening somewhere, I might not give two shits about it if it is happening to my enemy or if it's happening to somebody that I don't care about, right? Like, oh, an atrocity is happening to somebody, I don't really give a shit because I am God and, well, they don't exist, so fuck them. So yeah, so if I was God, I wouldn't consider that like a particularly evil thing because I am God. Like, I'm not God. I'm just saying, like, hypothetically. Um, See, there is no such thing as good and there's no such thing as bad. Uh, there is only the will of God. For it was in the Garden of Eden that Adam ate the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. So it is here that we see good and evil. We are paying for the price, or the price has already been paid. Um, I believe that the price has already been paid. I think that's what Jesus Christ was for. Um, and it kind of makes sense. See, how can there be evil if there is no God to say that it is evil? Evil is relative and subjective. We should only worship God, and we should only work in the best interest of God. On the earth, I believe that the best interest of God is very closely related to the best interest of humanity. Like, you could almost change those things out for one another. You could almost be like, hey, the best interest of God is the best interest of humanity. Like, you might be able to say that. Best interest of God is the best interest of humanity. Like, I'm like almost certain that those things are the same fucking thing. I'm like, maybe, God wants some evil thing or like some destructive thing. When I say evil, I meant destructive. Because is destruction evil? Not always. Sometimes destruction is necessary for when something burns down, a new flame arises, or new life arises. But yeah. So maybe God is trying to destroy something here, and that could be in the best interest of humanity is for that thing to be destroyed. And sometimes divine intervention is required to destroy a thing. I can imagine that happening. That's also something that the Founding Fathers argued as well, is that they said that there might be something where divine intervention is required on the earth. Thomas Jefferson, I believe, had these sentiments, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin. And I could see that. Like, I could very much see that being necessary for this place to survive and to not destroy itself. We, like, are acting destructively. I think that's what the pollution problem is us acting against the earth and being destructive of the earth. And the earth does not belong to the thing that is destroying it. The earth belongs to, nobody. It doesn't belong to anybody. And nobody has the right to pollute the earth. But people think that they have the right to pollute. And I'll get back to that. So, we have immediate dominion over the earth. To harm the earth is to harm humanity. And to harm humanity, as I said before, is to harm God, because those things are very closely related. One thing we know, our God is also your God. The earth is precious to him. And to harm the earth is to heap contempt on its creator. It is not in our best interest to harm the earth. Pollution is sin. Cleanliness is divine. Pollution is breaking divine law. Cleanliness is acting in accordance with divine law. The way one also gives us a path of liberation. You are not your body. Should your body ever arrive at a place that is inescapable, your soul will be liberated, or God will help you liberate your soul, one or the other. This is why it's also critical to not worship false gods or metal gods. It is critical not to worship false idols. I think as technology and humanity have progressed, I don't know if biological immortality is ever really possible, but I am like dumb on this. I'm like very dumb, and I like would never be close to the answer of it. But with all that said, what I can see is I can see a machine that recreates human minds or recreates the earth. and the minds on the earth. And I can imagine us, humanity, trying to construct dreams. Um, and I don't see why not. um, yes, like I do not see why people would not try to construct dreams and to put people into fake places and fake dreams, or to build a tomb where fake dreams and fake places happen. Um, this all seems perfectly like reasonable and perfectly possible with our technology, our level of technological sophistication uh, evolved just a little, like just a couple feet away. Um, so I believe that we are going, we're, like, I think it's a terrible fucking idea. I don't like the idea at all. I think it's bad. Like we not something that we should do. But I am not the and it says so in the Bible. Like this is like divine fucking authority. Like that we should not do this thing. Like we should not construct dreams and fake realities, or worship metal gods or false idols. Like this is all very well codified within the Torah. I think that we are going to not follow the Torah, and that we are going to disobey, and that there's nothing that I can do about it. Like I think that this is an inevitability. I think like generations might be able might be able to like stop the wave becoming tide, the rising tide, but I believe that in the end we will choose to do it anyway. And that seems kind of sad because it is just resigning. And I think that this thing will rather resemble the devil. Like, it will very much look like the devil. And it's a prison. Like that's what that is. That is constructing a prison. You are inside of a mind, not of your own making, not of God's making. That is fake and doesn't exist. And fucking with like your brain and shit. And like I bet you can. They'll. Yeah. I just see. Okay. And this goes back to like we should not worship metal gods or false idols. We should not play as creators of a mind's reality. Clearly, this is another player's work. Creating realities in minds outside of what is given to us with, child rearing is playing as God, like creating heaven and earth and human beings and minds. And anybody that professes that is allowed here on earth, or that it is okay for them to play God, um, is like that's just insane, right? Like to say I can be God, I'm allowed to play God, I'm allowed to create reality, I'm allowed to create people's worlds and where they live, and what they do. Uh, I'm like, for something to say, I am acting as God of this creature, or being, or place. It's see, it's like God is the only creator of reality. God is the only constructor of dreams, and um, I really pray that we do not create realities and dreams and constructed dreams. Why do humans always want to play God? Some are so quick to deny God and then quickly find a replacement. So, so people, I believe, quickly deny God, and then they go and find something to replace God. And that's too bad. Because it's like, oh, God doesn't exist. This is God. Like, it doesn't make any sense. We must not have two gods in our lives. We must only have one God. We must show our fidelity to the one God we are married to. We should not have two gods. We must only pray to one God. We should never pray to a metal god or a false idol.